times we don't listen to hear. Like, we listen to interject and put in our biases about whatever's being said. So it's like, you're talking to me and I'm listening to you, but am I hearing what you're saying? Or am I sitting here thinking, just like what you presented, rights and wrongs, blacks and whites, you know what I mean? Like, am I thinking, oh no, he's wrong. I mean, my way obviously is the right way. And really, I mean, if we just listen to people, like if we hear people instead of interjecting our perspectives and bias. I mean, you said something a couple of weeks ago, or maybe last week in a podcast, about how you think all advice is selfish advice. And I was like, dang, Ben, I don't think all advice is selfish advice. But then you went on to say that most of the time it's because we're putting ourselves into it and that it's selfish. You'll come to me with something and I'll say how I would react or how it needs to be fixed. And a lot of times it's just, no, I just want you to listen to whatever I'm going through, you know? I don't understand this whole right and wrong thing. Like, I feel like, man, if we could move that out of the way, then it would definitely allow, like, it's almost like giving the other person permission to have space in your life, you know, if we can just put our biases away.
Well, I mean, like I said before, you and I both have lost friends because of their biases, and they're like, oh, no, you're not my friend. And I was thinking, man, what kind of friend were we where we don't believe on one subject, and now it's, you know, this torment. So, you know, just in consideration of like an example of what I was talking about with all the different categories of how we believe. We've been to Haiti. So, I mean, if I was in Haiti talking to a French-speaking girl who went to just primary school, elementary, got pregnant, got kicked out of her house, doesn't have a job, doesn't have any money, and I'm trying to, as a white American man speaking English, who has a business, who has a family, who has 4 kids, and be like, oh, everything's going to be okay. And then demand that she takes on my thoughts that everything's going to be okay, and be like, oh, I'm going to live my life the way this guy says to live his life because he says everything's going to be okay, versus all the internal things and struggles that she's going to have to go through. Mm-hmm. I got kicked out of my house. Now where am I going to go? My boyfriend doesn't want me because now I'm pregnant. I don't have any money. What am I going to do for money? You know, health. How's my baby going to be? You know, what do I do for a doctor? How do I even raise this baby? All of these things that she's getting ready to face, and I try to say, believe me, I'm right. Everything's going to be okay. And that's my way of communicating to her. And then I put it on her. Well, and you need to do it. Now it's more responsibility. Like, she didn't have enough, you know, with trying to process what's my body doing? How's this thing growing inside me? What do I need to do for nutrition? And all of these things that come up in life. And that's what you're maybe saying is we're not listening to people. Mm-hmm. You know, but with that, with breaking down these categories and being able to see that health-wise, people are going through different things. And so, you know, we have 4 kids, and so primarily they're saying that kids don't get sick. And very, very little, you know, are, and bad results are even almost to nil. So we have 4 kids, so we're like, oh, let's go here, let's do this, let's do that. Let's, you know, it's easier for us to move because now the information that we have is we can be mobile, you know, with some restrictions, or, you know, bring some germicide with you or whatever. But, you know, we could be mobile. And then you take a conversation with somebody who's over 65 years old, who has diabetes or different things like that. And you're like, I don't want to be mobile. Okay. I can value that, but can you now consider me wanting to be mobile or needing to be mobile? Yeah. Can you put yourself back into my shoes when you were 40 years old with 4 kids and it's summertime and, you know, you've been cooped in the house and your boy's body is basically doubled in size, you know, the last couple months and all of these things. And it's like, I need to go get clothes and shoes and I need to take these kids out and their birthdays. And so now they're wanting to have parties with friends and all of these different things. Can you at least consider the things that I'm going through based on your previous experiences, if you are able to, because you had kids, versus maybe you might not be able to because you didn't have kids. Funny thing, one time I was in a service and it was kind of this Saturday class, and we somehow got onto the conversation of kids and how do we pass this information to the kids. No lie, I get this guy or see this guy, and he stands up and he's like, I don't have kids, but I think this is how it should be done. And I was
my gosh.
I was like, holy moly. And so I stand up and I'm like, I do have kids, and this is how I do it. Now, the way that I do it, knowing this group, it was a very shocking way. I basically told them, I told my kid all the cuss words, and you should have seen all their faces just drop, because like to him, he was like, law, mean, guy, and I'm like, cuss to your kid, tell him what it means, and so, with the communication thing, it's funny because it comes into so many different forms also. My kid now is on Instagram, and so he's communicating his life, his thoughts, his jokes, and they're not innocent jokes, and so he's trying to communicate to the world who he is. And we had to talk to him the other day and say, not everybody's going to value your joke the way you valued your joke. You might see that joke and be like, this is the funniest thing ever. Then all of a sudden you say that joke to somebody else and they're like, oh, that's a terrible joke. Now, who was right in the situation? I believe my son's fine to say, hey, this is a funny joke, and he thinks that's a funny joke, and it's okay. And I think it's fine for the other person to say, hey, I didn't think that was that funny. Mm-hmm. I can see both sides of every situation and say, I think you're both right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's where we kind of come into the background, that conversation of why do we have to be right or wrong?
Right.
Why can't we both be right?